I know it's fun to visit, but hey, we got something important to do here. There's a bunch of announcements in here. I'll bring a couple up to your attention. Quit yelling. Speak. Yes, I'm speaking. Thank you for turning it up. They turned me down just to get even for something. I'm not sure which. A few things that are happening. September 13th, and it sounds like a long time away, but it's not. September 13th will be a 101 membership class for anybody interested in becoming a member of Cedar Brook. That would be run by Lisa Greaves and Mark Wardhall, and that will be right after service on Sunday the 13th. The 19th, which is a Saturday, is the party in the park. There's flyers out there, there's sign-up sheets out back. We're going to Babbage Park, and it's just an outreach. Hot dogs, drinks, and just talk to people. Get everybody in the neighborhood together. They're kind of an isolated neighborhood. We want them all to just meet them and meet us. We're not going to arm twist anybody. It's a meet and greet, or as my American friends call it, a grip and grin. September the 20th, there will be a baptism. So if anybody interested in being baptized, make sure you let Pastor Jim know. Saturday, October the 3rd, BC Lions game. Men's group sponsoring that. We're sponsoring it as far as getting you there. You buy your own tickets. See Mark Wardhall. And if you prefer the Whitecaps, Sunday, October the 25th is a Whitecaps game. And is there anything I've forgotten? I guess the next thing I need to do is we have a special guest speaker today, being imported all the way from East Abbotsford. Les has been in ministry for a lot of years. He has literally taught around the world. He's been to Russia, he's been all over North America, and I forget who else has been graced by him. But he's been there, done that. He is a published author. Pretty much a good guy, and I'm pretty sure that the reason the question mark symbol was invented by God was because Les can ask more questions in 5 minutes than any 7 people I know. However, I consider him a true friend. He's a friend of this church, and I would ask Les to come up, please. And here he is, Les Gertz.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. And it's good to be here.
Amen.
Worship team, thank you. And how exciting was that to have Jessica up here today? Isn't that great? Taylor drums, Tracy back there, Leah on the guitar over here, and having Lisa doing her thing up there, and Tracy, just fun. I find myself during the week, because of the worship songs and that sort of thing, I find myself during the week humming those words or singing those words, and they just kind of come. There they are all of a sudden. So it's a very, very good thing to experience it. Pastor Jim and Della are away, they're on holidays, and he asked me if I would share, and I agreed to do that. And I said, is there something particular that I should be talking about? And he said, no, just leave it up to you and the Lord. Okay, so it's up to me and the Lord, I guess. And so I was in the shower about 3 weeks ago or so, maybe something like that. And I was thinking about this, and I thought, okay, what does God want me to say, and the like? And one word came to mind: change. And I shared that with Lisa. And then Lisa came up, 2 weeks ago? She came up and she said, I got my word, and her word was entitlement. Is it entitlement? And so she talked about that. So change is the word today. And God began to kind of flesh it out a little bit more when he gave me a text of Ephesians 4, and the word actually turned into a question, of all things. I can't imagine why, but it did. It turned into a question. And the question simply is, why is change so challenging? Why does it present such a challenge to us? Change in that sense. And it certainly has. It's certainly done that. And amazing what it will do when we look at it. We've got some things we're going to look at today in regard to change. Just reflecting on what's been happening in our world. Last night, and Mark's excited about this, the Whitecaps won. How's that, Mark? They did. The Whitecaps won. But also the Whitecaps won. This Canadian team, known as the Blue Jays, they clobbered the Los Angeles Angels down there last night. What, 15-3 or something? Amazing. Now, there are a lot of people that are very happy about that. They're excited about that. The people down in Los Angeles and Anaheim down there, they're not very happy about that. But we are here in Canada, I suppose, some of us at least, and we're happy about that. And the changes that have happened to these teams are exciting. They're good. They're absolutely good. So here's a question for you. What has changed for you? Bernadine and I sat together, we were talking about this, and raised the question, as we look over our life, what things have happened that have really involved change in our lives? Big change in our lives. Because man, you go back over 53 years of marriage, and there's a ton of things that just come up that say, yeah. And lots of things that we went through in those 53 years that involved change. And so, what would you like to change? What would I like to change? What are we facing in terms of change? And what part of that change concept is challenging to us? Well, I'll tell you, if you want to make a change, it doesn't usually come easy. It's not something that just sort of happens, falls into your lap, and you get excited about it. No. The Canadian dollar, where is it? Down to about 76 cents, 75, 76 cents, something like that. Oil is down to $40 a barrel, but the prices of the pumps are still up. Those are changes. And we have serious forest fires that are burning around. There's 3 firemen down in the States that just, the fire changed and just took these lives, and those are changes, big changes. Homes lost. We still have our house, but there are homes out there that are burnt to the ground. Terrible things happen. North Korea is threatening South Korea. You don't stop the propaganda, and we're going to start bombing you. We're going to start destroying you. And that's our world. Russia, stuff that's happening in Russia, in Iran. And we look at our world and we just sort of say, but that's not Abbotsford, that's certainly not Canada. And so we just kind of go and say, well, it's okay for now. Well, it is okay for now. But our world is changing, and that's pretty amazing to look at it. And then some of the changes we have control over, many of them we do not. Change, if you punch it in, it occurs about 33 times in the Bible. That's it. Change. And it involves changing your mind, change your change your clothes, change your heart, change your evil ways. Put this down here. Okay. Change your evil ways, change your situation, change your expression, change your skin. That's what Naaman, way back when. Change the customs of Moses. They want to change the customs, change the tone, change the truth. So there's lots of things in there that we look at and things that say change. And then we look at our world and we say change is something that's very common. Somebody put it this way. They said the most stable thing today is change. I remember hearing about a nursery in church where they put a sign over the nursery, and it was 1 Corinthians 50 and 51 over the nursery. And you know what it said? We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. Okay? So when you look at change is significant. Change is significant all over the place. And in your outline, you've got a text. And I just want to read that, and as I read through this, I want you to think about change as we go through this. He, Christ, is the one who gave these gifts to the church, the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, and the pastors and teachers. Their responsibility is to equip God's people to do his work and to build up the church, the body of Christ. Until we come to such unity in our faith and knowledge of God's Son, that we will be mature and full grown in the Lord, measuring up to the full stature of Christ. Then we will no longer be like children, forever changing our minds about what we believe because someone has told us something different or because someone has cleverly lied to us and made the lies sound like the truth. Instead, we will hold to the truth in love, becoming more and more in every way like Christ, who is the head of his body, the church. Under his direction, the whole body is fitted together perfectly, as each part does its own special work. It helps the other parts to grow, so that the whole body is healthy and growing and full of love. Let me say this. Live no longer as the ungodly do, for they are hopelessly confused. Their closed minds are full of darkness. They are far away from the life of God because they have shut their minds and hardened their hearts against him. They don't care anymore about right and wrong, and they've given themselves over to immoral ways. Their lives are filled with all kinds of impurity and greed. But that isn't what you were taught when you learned about Christ. Since you have heard all about him and have learned the truth that is in Jesus, throw off your old evil nature and your former way of life, which is rotten through and through, full of lust and deception. Instead, there must be a spiritual renewal, a renewal of your thoughts and attitudes. You must display a new nature because you are a new person, created in God's likeness, righteous, holy, and true. Isn't that exciting? That is so good. That's so good. I've got enough material to keep you here for most of the day.
You got enough coffee?
You got enough what?
Got enough coffee?
Yeah, bro. Lots of coffee. Lots of coffee. Why is change so challenging? Why is change so challenging? First area is because of unique leadership. Unique leadership. And the first area really that I read, it talks about Christ is the one who gave these gifts to the church. The apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, and pastors and teachers. Leadership is so important, so critical, so needed. And when you have unique leadership, that's why change is so challenging. We're going to change something, and not on my watch. Yeah, we're going to change this. No, forget it. You expect me to change? I don't think so. I've already got my designs. I know what I want to do. Don't confuse me with facts. And change then becomes something that people resist, and that we resist. Instead of saying, let's embrace change. No, the challenging part is, how do you change in a good way? And the like. And there's three areas we're going to look at here. The first one is the family. Leadership in the family. And is it challenging to experience leadership in the family? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Parents are the strength of the family. They provide a unique leadership that is necessary to make the family a good place to be. And in that setting, how is your role as a parent? Children, obey your parents, it says in Ephesians 6. And then he goes on in verse 4 of chapter 6. He said, parents, don't exasperate your children. I remember hearing about a gal. She had just come home from school and she walked into the house, and her mom was there to greet her. And she said to her mom, she said, I hate you. She's a teenager. What does she expect, right? She said, I hate you. And her mom said, I'm going to treat you so well that you won't ever have to say that to me again. And she stormed out of the room. A little while later, she came back and she apologized to her mother. She said, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't mean that at all. Okay. In the family, to give that kind of leadership in the family, instead of getting bent out of shape or throwing something or doing something and then within the church, in the church, the leadership. In Hebrews 13, verse 17, it says, obey your leaders. They watch over your souls. They're people that give an account, the leaders in the church. We are blessed here at Cedar Brook to have a great pastor and great leaders. Isn't that neat?
Amen. Amen.
Isn't that neat? Give them a hand. Give them a hand. Give our leaders a hand. There you go. Listen, really appreciate it. Do they care about us? Absolutely. As a church family. Are they interested in us? Are they listening to us? Absolutely. Is it easy for the leaders to lead at Cedar Brook? No. I heard over here. No, because it's challenging. It's challenging. Okay, and at times the leaders would say, wouldn't it be nice if we could go down this road or do this thing or face this or look at this? And the natural tendency is to say, yeah, if it fits my schedule. If I like to do that. If it doesn't interfere with anything else. Yeah, so within the church. And then there's another place that says in 1 Peter 5:3, it says that leaders are not to lord it over those entrusted to their charge. So it's a both and. It's a difficult thing. It's challenging. It's challenging, definitely challenging. And why is it so challenging? Because we're people. Human nature is alive and well. Then the third area here is that related to leadership in business or society. Some of you are business owners. You're business people. You understand business. You relate to business, or you work in a business, and the like. So when you look at business and the like, it's challenging in business. One of the biggest challenges that I hear about businesses is getting good employees who will do what they're supposed to do. It's challenging. And they want all the benefits. And they only want to do half the work at times. Not all of them, but that tends to be some of the challenge. You know, why is it so challenging? It's challenging because of unique leadership. You know, why is change so challenging? And we'd like to be able to just sort of use a hypodermic and change people right on the spot. And it just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. And then in society generally, businesses, but then in Canada, we're facing an election, I understand. And I was listening to one of the captions that said, if you want real change, then what do? You vote for the person that says they want to provide real change. And when they arrive there, will it involve real change? Yeah, maybe change. And maybe it may not be the changes that we like, that we want, that we really desire. But change, what does that mean? You know, it's challenging. Change is definitely challenging. And making a difference, embracing the challenge, very important when we look at this. The second thing I want us to look at regarding change, why is change so challenging, is because of the maturing process. Because of the maturing process and what we go through in terms of maturing. And listen to what he says. Until we come to such unity in our faith and knowledge of God's Son, that we will be mature and full grown in the Lord, measuring up to the full stature of Christ. Isn't that interesting? Now, since the beginning of time, we've had children, we've had teenagers, we've had adults. We have all kinds of different levels of maturity. It's interesting that children can be mature to their level of being a child. Okay, fine. You don't expect a child to get up and drive a car. You don't expect them to go shopping. And get groceries. You don't expect them to pay the bills. You don't expect, there's a lot of things you just don't expect because they're children. Let a child be a child, good. But then when they become older and more mature, that's fine. We had the granddaughters, 9 and 6, over visiting with us just recently. And about the time that they were leaving, about the time Vernon Jean said to Grace, who's 6, she said, now go upstairs to your bedroom and check under the bed and around in there and in the bathroom and see if she left any socks or anything and collect it. And so she sent her upstairs, and she was gone for a little while. And then she came back down again, and she said, no, didn't find anything. But Grandma, while I was up there, I made the bed. What? She's 6. And she went up and checked, and sure enough, the bed was beautifully made. At 6. Now, which is wonderful. Wonderful. Now, what do you do when Grace has a meltdown? And she does have meltdowns now and again. You know, not a very mature thing to do. But at 6, come on, give her a break. And so you look at this and you say, at that level, at a child's level, and are the things that are challenging for Grace? Yeah, lots of things are challenging for Grace. And then what about a teenager? What a teenager? Okay, teenager growing and developing and maturing. It's been said that teenagers know everything and parents know nothing. That's where they live. They have energy, they take risks, they make mistakes, they frustrate parents. Teens often frustrate parents. Yeah, parents forget that they were once teens. James Dobson, from Focus on the Family, he says, get the teens through to where they're now 20. Just get them through. You know, work with them so you get them through. Don't get bent out of shape about too much of it. You know, get them through. And so teenager. Isn't it great to be a teenager? I was once a teenager. I didn't like being a teenager. It's a difficult time because so many things are happening. You know, not just hormonal things, but your life, your relationships, your future, everything is just kind of blank out there, and you're suddenly supposed to pick it and choose it and make it work. And for a teenager, that's very difficult. That's very difficult. So from a parent standpoint, learn to be really, really, really patient with teens. They're good. They're exciting. They're fun to be around. Yeah, okay. Let's just accept that. Let's just accept it. Okay. And if you're a parent today, right here, and you have teenagers in your life, and they're giving you a bad time or a hard time or a frustrating time, just enjoy it. Have fun with it. It doesn't mean you're going to give up the parent card, but the teens, the teens are there, and it's part of the development process. A teenager is not a child anymore. Really? and a teenager is not an adult to the extent that we're talking about adults. So when you look at the whole process, the whole maturing process is challenging. It's challenging for the parents. It's challenging also for the teenager. They're trying to figure it out. One of the things that I've discovered, and you've discovered as well, I'm sure, with technology today, that someone on technology can actually target a teenager and cause them to go into a tailspin. Sad, really sad. Now you look at the teenager and say, why don't you toss that out? Forget it, ignore it, let it go away. No. It's very, very hard for them. They're very, very sensitive to that kind of thing. And so from the technology standpoint, teens are being targeted, or they are being the ones that are targeting others. Not a good idea. Learning to be a teenager and go through that properly. And then you get to a place where you're an adult. You're an adult. And the maturing process for an adult. I'm past 50 now, and I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still discovering. I'm still facing challenges at this stage in life. And no matter what age you are, you're doing the same thing. You're doing the same thing. And when you face it, when you look at it and you face it and you realize it, it's just a tough thing to go through. Even as an adult, it's a very difficult thing to go through. Adults never finish the maturing process, ever. We still learn. Some adults exhibit very immature behavior, and we'd like to smarten them up. They're not there yet. They can get stuck and stop growing and maturing. Have you as an adult ever had your maturity tested? There was a fellow in real estate. I was just wandering around in the neighborhood, and I met this fellow who was a real estate salesman, and we got to talking, and all of a sudden he turned to me and he said, "You're a minister." He said, how about if you test my maturity? Wow. Test my maturity. What do I do now? Do I have a scale with him? And so I went through a number of questions with him, and we began to meet together in a mentorship role, and I saw him grow and develop. He wanted to grow. And to have it tested, There's lots of ways that you can test your maturity. And if you haven't done that, that's a good thing to do. Now, wouldn't it be great to hear from a young adult that is going through the maturing process? Wouldn't that be great today to do that?
Yes.
Who said yes? Andy said to me the other day, what did you say to me, Andy? You said to me the other day, do something different. Did you remember that? Okay, give Dominique a hand. Dominique's going to come up here. Dominique, where are you? Are you here? There she is. Give her a hand. And over on the other side, we've got a microphone for you.
Hello, is this working?
Is it working?
Yeah.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Dominique, friends. This is, and we have met together how many times now?
37. 37 was a Friday. Yeah.
Friday. We meet together down at Starbucks, put our Bibles on the table, and share. And I'm learning a lot of things from this young lady. How old are you now?
23.
23. Wow. And okay, we meet together, and what has changed for you in the process of meeting together? How are you different today than you were when you first started?
I've learned to think very quickly on my feet when Les asks a question, because Les asks many, many questions every time we meet. I've also learned very well about scheduling, and I've learned that if you're going to have coffee with Les, schedule at least 2.5 to 3 hours.
That's true.
Les has taught me to view the world from a very different perspective and to think forward about what I want versus kind of just going along. In the verse he was reading earlier, it talked about being influenced and being swayed by outside influences, and he's taught me how to look at what God wants me to do and what I think is best for me, so that's been a really good influence in my life.
When did you become a Christian?
Grade 10.
How old were you?
I was about 50.
Okay,
60,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. And lots has happened in your life since then, right? That you've had to deal with. What are some significant things that you had to walk through?
Moving away to university for the first time. I'm the oldest in my family, and so moving 4 or 5 hours away is very difficult. Moving back after school and trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, and just some of the social struggles that people my age face. So
Sure.
relationships and financial things.
What has happened in your family, like with your parents and that sort of thing? How's that going?
My parents were divorced right after I moved away to university.
Okay. Okay, and how did you handle that?
I lived 4 or 5 hours away, so I coped in my own way at school.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And how's your relationship been with your mom?
A little tenacious.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. One of the points in our time together, we were talking about you and your relationship with your mom, and what did you do?
I forgave my mom
Wow.
for what happened in our family.
That was tough. That was really tough.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, when you wrote it down, I think there were about 4 or 5 things that you wrote down,
Yes.
and then you put a date on it, if I remember correctly. Did
Yeah.
you do that?
Yes.
And how's that work for you?
You just reminded me that if I forgive her, it's done, and the relationship is clean, and the slate is wiped clean.
That's wonderful, you know. That's wonderful. What are you looking forward to in your future?
Coffee next week with you. I just started a new job. I actually am a recruiter with Best Buy out of our headquarters, and so for me, moving into an actual career now versus just kind of working and trying to figure out what I wanted was really big. And I guess enjoying all the neat people and the neat things God's put in my life.
Good. And who are you mentoring now?
My younger siblings.
Okay.
So my younger sister goes to UVic, so I've been a big mentor for her while she lives away from home, because that's a very challenging thing to do when you're a teenager, is to try and find yourself and do so without a lot of your social structure and social support that you grew up with. And then my younger brother, because he's graduating in a couple years as well.
Excellent. Excellent. This is one of the things we do all the time. When we meet and we need look forward to that last hug, and it's nice to see you, and look forward to the next time we get to meet.
It was really hard not hugging you the first time I saw you this morning. That's always one of my favorite parts of having coffee with Les, is at the very end when we get to have a big hug.
That's right. Okay. Bless you. Bless you. Give her a hand. The maturing process is exciting. It really is exciting. Now, I met with a young man, he was 22, and I asked him, I said, why is it, we went out and had lunch together, and when we got there, I said, why would an older fellow like me want to have lunch with a young fellow like you, 22? And he said, yeah, the thought did cross my mind. and I said, actually, the truth be known, I like to have lunch with you because I don't live in your world, I don't live at your age level, I need to learn from you. And then we talked further, and I asked him eventually, I said, why is it that very seldom guys my age stop and have time meeting with people of your age? And his answer kind of blew the socks off me, and he said this. He said, I think it's because people your age already think they know everything. And they're not willing to learn. And I thought, how sad. I'm always wanting to learn. And Dominique has taught me so much. It's such a treat to meet and learn. And I do have questions when I meet with her, and she does give me answers, and it puts me into her world and the kind of things that she's facing, which is really exciting for me. So, why is change so challenging? And because of the maturing process. The third area, why is change so challenging, is because of differing views. And the first area of that is in the text that we looked at. Then we will no longer be like children, forever changing our minds about what we believe because someone has told us something different, or because someone has cleverly lied to us and made the lie sound like the truth instead. We hold to the truth in love, becoming more and more in every way like Christ, who is the head of his body, the church. And so the differing views. There's a differing view today about truth, about what we consider to be truth. Totally different about truth. Romans 1 tells us that people change the truth about God into a lie. I remember when Dominique and I first started meeting, I asked her a question. I said, if there was a basket of absolutes, what would you put in that basket of absolutes? And she said, I don't know if I'll put anything in there. I said, well, let's put a couple of things in there today. And I said, number one that we're going to put in there is that we're all flawed. She agreed, yeah, we're all flawed, okay? I said, number two, we'll put something else in there, and that is that you'll probably never meet anyone who's 150 years old. So we have an expiry date. All of us have an expiry date, and we don't know when it's coming, we don't know how long it's going to be, and that sort of thing. But the truth is, none of us are going to live forever in this world. You come to a place where, my aunt, my oldest aunt that passed away June 22nd, a couple of years ago, at 103 and a half. I have an aunt, lives in her own home, drives her own car, looks after all of her own needs and that sort of thing. She's 96. What chance do I have? I'm going to have to stick around for at least another 20 years. And you look at it and say, about truth. People are handing us something called truth. There are absolutes. Everything is not relative. And we do not tolerate everything. And yet that's the bill of goods that our young adults in university or in the areas where they live, that's the kind of thing that they try to tell us, and it's just not true. It's not real, it's not true. Everything is not relevant, and there are absolutes. About truth, about right living. What does it mean to live right? And I'm not talking about becoming a religious fanatic. I'm talking about living right. There are behavioral lifestyles that lead to destruction, lead to personal cost and loss. And when you see them, you think, why are you doing this? to yourself. Why are you living this way? There's a better way to live. And they might even say, well, I've tried. I was listening to a gal being interviewed, and she had a son who was a teenager, and she didn't want him to start smoking. And she had started smoking when she was 14. He was 14 now. And she started smoking when she was 14, and she was still smoking, couldn't give it up. Couldn't give it up. Tragic. You know, when you start something, you go down the wrong path, and you're going to end up in a destructive lifestyle. It's not right living. And so when you look at it, you say, there is such a thing called right living. Right living is powerful, wrong living is painful, and destructive and costly. And we look at the third thing about attitudes. Attitudes are so critical. In Matthew chapter 5, where Jesus spoke on the Sermon on the Mount, he called them the Beatitudes. The attitudes are very, very important. In Philippians chapter 2, it talks about, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. The attitude that he had, let it be in you. Choose a lifestyle differently. We have a chance to think how we're going to think. And what attitude we're going to have. That's a choice. It's a personal choice. I've gone through 9 radiation treatments. I've got 26 to go. I'll start again tomorrow morning. And so I'm going through this. Is it fun to do this? Not really. Is it part of the drill, part of the protocol? Yeah. And so you end up doing things that you need to do. And your attitude toward it is significant. Now, I get to share in the hospital with so many people. They have no idea who they're going to run into. You understand that? This last week, I'm walking by Joanna's office, and I just looked in, and she was sitting by herself, and I said, do you mind if I come join for a little bit? She said, no, come on. And so I went in there. I've already talked to Joanna at one point. She got burned by the Catholic Church. She's given up faith, religion, all that kind of things done. And then I come on. And so we had a chance to have a neat chat. And this week, as I went in there, we got to talking about some things. And I said, Joanna, would you mind if I prayed for you? She said, I really like that. So I'm sitting in the hospital at Abbotsford in an office of a nurse and praying with this nurse that I've just recently met. And she's thanking me all over the place that I did that. Nothing major. I can admit to you, I didn't preach a three-point sermon in my prayer. I was just honoring God and honoring her and blessing her. And so attitude is huge. We display that wherever we go. And it's wonderful. Do you know any negative people? I do. I'd like to inject them with something positive. Because living negatively is more difficult than living positively. Have you ever tried to change someone who is negative? You can't do it. They have to decide that they want to choose. They have to decide they want to move into a different direction. Very, very difficult. Number 4, why is change so challenging? It's challenging because of new life. And I get excited about this. You always save the best for the last, I guess. And new life is something that God provides. Instead, we hold to the truth in love, becoming more and more in every way like Christ, who is the head of his body, the church. Under his direction, the whole body is fitted together perfectly. As each part does its special work, it helps the other parts grow so that the whole body is healthy and growing and full of love. First thing we do in this area is we're discovering Jesus Christ. And all that that entails. Who is Jesus Christ? God. Who is he in terms of us? The one who loves us deeply, the one who cares about us. If anyone is in Christ, 2 Corinthians 5:17. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old is gone, the new is come. His interest is to change us on the inside out. Philippians 1:6. Knowing this, being certain of this, that he who started a good work in you is going to complete it. And that's exciting. That's totally exciting because of new life. And the challenge of change, it actually goes into his basket. Why is change so challenging? It's because we fail to submit to him and allow him to make the changes in us that he intends to make, that he wants to make. In Hebrews chapter 13, verse 8, it says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. We change. He doesn't change. It's exciting. It's good to have someone on our side that does not change. Then secondly, discovering freedom. Discovering freedom. And freedom is something that is so exciting. My chains are gone. We sang it before, right? My chains are gone. That's freedom. Bondage is over. In fact, in John chapter 8, verse 36, it said, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Real freedom comes from Jesus Christ. And that's exciting. That's exciting. It's worth it. And then the third thing is discovering a new nature. Something that's created in us, as he describes it, in righteousness and true holiness. The new nature, the nature of Christ that comes and is being developed in us. Since you have heard all about him and have learned the truth that is in Jesus, throw off your old evil nature and your former way of life, which is rotten through and through, full of lust and deception. Instead, there must be a spiritual renewal of your thoughts and attitudes. You must display a new nature because you are a new person, created in God's likeness, righteous, holy, and true. Wow. Is that exciting or what? And then there's some things that I'm learning about this. Learning about change. Things that I'm learning about change. And the first thing I'm learning is that we value good leaders. We do. We value people that are leaders and that are honorable. We value them. Absolutely we do. Second thing, we are often slow learners. It's true. It takes us a long time to get it. We are often very slow learners. And the third thing is we celebrate new challenges. When a challenge comes, instead of fighting against it, running away from it, we embrace it and we celebrate it. Here's what he says in James chapter 1, verses 2 to 4. Dear brothers and sisters, whenever trouble comes your way, oh really? Let it be an opportunity for joy. Are you kidding me? Let it be an opportunity for joy? Okay. For when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow, so let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be strong in character and ready for anything. I like that. Ready for anything. I'm done. The worship team is not going to come up and sing. I'm going to have a prayer and dismiss us. And I just appreciate all you guys. I just thoroughly appreciate you. Thanks for listening.
Appreciate you.
Isn't that exciting? Let me pray. God, thank you for our family. Thank you for our church family. Thank you for every person here. You know exactly what they're facing this week, today. You know exactly what the challenges are. You know what changes you want to see happen. You know what changes they desire. And I just pray for Pastor Jim and Della as they're away on this holiday time. Just be with them and bless them. Thank you for Dominique and for her sharing. Bless us together, each one of us, and guide us and grow us into your likeness, Lord Jesus. Thank you. In your name, amen. Bless you.